Hi class, this video is for 5.3 and it's going to help us review the three forms that we've learned about lines. Okay, they're all the graph of a straight line, except some forms are better than others, depending on what you need. So the first one's called slope-intercept form, and this looks like y equals mx plus b. Now the y-intercept, or the starting point, could be in the front or it could be at the back. Okay, here's an example of one. Y equals 3/4 x plus 7. Okay, so this is the small version. The starting point would be 7. The line would be going uphill. The important thing to know when I'm given an equation like this, okay, is the y is by itself. Sometimes we call that the f of x. Okay, so this is slope-intercept form. The second version that we've learned, and we did this all the first chapter that I met you, is called point-slope form. And the formula looks like this. Y equals the starting y number plus the m, and then it's x minus the x1, the x number. So we have a starting point called x1, y1, and then we have a slope. Okay, for example, we might have y equals 9, the starting number is 9, and then we have plus 2/3 x minus 4. So the starting point, the number by x, would be the opposite of that 4, and the starting y value is 9, and then the slope is 2/3. Okay, so for both of these formulas, the slope is in front of the x. Slope is in front of the x. Okay. For this equation over here, our starting point would have been nice and small, just 0, 7, and the slope would have been 3/4 going uphill. All right, and then we have this new form, standard form, which we've been talking about, which people like a lot in terms of calculating, and it's ax plus by equals to c. Okay, so key features. How do I know if it's in standard form? Well, the x and the y are together on the same side. Over here, it's always y equals. The y is on one side and the x is on the other. But over here, we have x's and y's on the same side, and it's usually on the left side. And there's no fractions. There's no fractions? Well, then which one's the slope? No, there's no slope. Remember, in this form, we use intercepts. We use the x and y intercept to graph the line, which was kind of fast and really fun. Okay, so we're going to work on rearranging. We're going to do algebra to turn equations into different forms. One of the things you could do is distributing. So we've learned this technique before. Whenever you have 2 times 5, two things inside of parentheses, that means that you're supposed to multiply. So parentheses, okay, mean multiply, right? Parentheses means multiply. So what am I going to multiply here? Not just 3, but -3. -3 has to get multiplied, okay, because there's parentheses. It has to get multiplied by x, and it has to get multiplied over here. You have to distribute it in. Distributing means multiply to everyone. So -3 times x is just simply -3x. And a -3 times -4 makes +12. Okay, so I can simplify this expression by multiplying to everybody. Okay. We also have done things like this where we have to distribute, but then we have to combine the like terms. Can I add x's plus 12s? No, they would just stay like this. This would be the final answer. Okay. But let's take a look at the second example. What number gets distributed? Is it the 4? No, because he's not by the parentheses. Is it the 2? Yes, okay, because he's next to the parentheses. And let's just look in front of 2. Is it a positive or a negative I'm going to be distributing in? And it's a positive 2. Positive 2 has to get distributed there and there. Okay, so for my first number is a 4. Just drop that down. 2 times x is 2x. Okay, but keep distributing. 2 times negative 5 is negative 10. Okay, now are we done? Well, we did the distributing part. Check. But now we have to combine like terms. Is there anybody like each other here? I see numbers, x's, numbers. Okay, so those two are going to get put together. I'm going to write down 2x, just drop down the x term, and then we're going to calculate the numbers. 4 minus 10 is negative 6, or minus 6. Okay, so you can combine numbers with numbers. So what are like terms? Numbers go with numbers. X's go with x's. And y's go with y's. You get the idea. Okay, we're going to use these skills, okay, to rearrange some lines. We're going to rearrange into slope-intercept form. So let's just remind everyone what that looks like. It's y equals, y is by itself on the left. And then we've got the mx on the right plus b. So the y has to go on the left, and the x term has to go on the right, as well as the constant, the number term. So let's see. If I want to solve for y, which is what we have to do here, I'm just going to write different directions. Solve for y. How did I know those were the directions? Because slope-intercept form wants the y alone. Okay, so let's see. If I want y alone, the first step would be to subtract the x. Subtract the x. So he's not on the left side. What's on the left side? Just the negative 2y. Can you combine x's with 10s? No. This is kind of like solving literals. It's just going to be 10 minus x. They cannot be combined together. They're not like terms. Okay, is y alone? Not yet. He's being multiplied. So the inverse of multiplication would be to do division. And who gets divided by negative 2? The y and the 10. And what about that guy? Yes, what you do to one side, you do to the other side. Everybody has to get divided. So the y is now alone. The y is alone. 10 divided by negative 2 is negative 5. Over here, this second term, a negative divided by a negative is positive. And then it's 1. I'm going to write 1/2 x. X divided by 2, or I could put the 1 there and put the x next to it. 1x divided by 2, because now that's the m. You could leave your answer like that, okay, or you can write your answer like this, 1/2 x minus 5. They're both correct because it's y equals, and then the m is a half, and the starting point, your y-intercept, negative 5. Okay, so slope-intercept form needs the y on the left and the x term and the constant on the right. All right, let's look at number 2. I want to make it y equals. If this 3x was just gone, it would be y equals. So you know who has to go away? Minus 3x. Get out of there, 3x. But that's not fair, okay? If you do it to the left side, you got to do it to the right side. So the y is all alone on the left. We're looking good. Can these be combined? 12s with 3x's. Those are not like terms. They cannot be combined. Okay, it's very important that you write the x and you write the x so that you see these are numbers and these are x's. So you can write 12 minus 3x. Okay, or you could write y equals negative 3x plus 12. Both of them are correct. Slope-intercept form. All right, the last one right here. Y equals, oh, it's already got the y on the left. So what am I supposed to do? Oh, maybe I should clean up this right here. It's supposed to be mx and then a b. Okay, and I don't see mx plus b. I see parentheses with a number. You know what we're going to have to do? Distribute. Let's go ahead and distribute the 4 so we can clean this up. I've already got the y on the left, and I don't want to mess that up. Leave y alone, please. 4 times x is 4x. 4 times 1 is a positive 4. Don't forget to write the minus 6. Just drop it down. Okay? So are we done? I see y equals, the slope is 4, mx. Oh, look at this. These are like terms. I can't have all these numbers over here. So we're going to go ahead and combine them. Positive 4 minus 6 makes minus 2. Okay, once you're in this form, I could state that the slope is 4 over 1, and the y-intercept, the starting point, is 0, negative 2. It wasn't so clear earlier, but with this information, I for sure can draw a graph. Okay. Let's rearrange now into standard form. Okay, and let's remind people what standard form looks like. So we've got ax plus by equals c. Ax plus by equals to c. So in this form, okay, I've got lots of things on the left. I've got x's and y's on the left. And then what do we have on the right? Just our constant. When I say constant, that means the number. Okay. And remember, no fractions are allowed. No fractions. Okay, so if you see a fraction, we're going to have to get rid of it. Okay, let's go ahead and zoom in here on this one. Rearrange into standard form. So I want to get the x term and the y term on the left. Oh, and there's a fraction. Okay, a fraction, okay, is a denominator. This says 1 divided by 2. And the way that you're going to get rid of a fraction is to multiply. So I'm going to multiply everybody in this fraction by a 2. And let me show you how that cancels it out, okay? So 2 times y becomes 2y. That's pretty easy. Equal sign. What happens when I multiply 2? 2 divided by 2. That's going to cancel out. 2 divided by 2, that just gives you the 1x. Okay, don't forget to keep multiplying. We have to multiply the third thing. That's not fair. So 4 times 2 is 8. Okay, so now we don't have any more fractions. Okay, so am I done? Is this standard form? I don't have any fractions. Oh, wait a minute. The x's are supposed to be on the left. The y's are already on the left. Perfect. And I see the numbers. There's one more thing we have to do. We have to get these x's moved to the other side. Okay, so I need to take 1x. I'm going to subtract 1x, wipe them out on the right, and I'm going to subtract 1x on the left. Okay, so what happens here? I have the equal sign. The only thing on the right is 8. It's exactly what we wanted, the number on the right. Okay, over here, what's supposed to go first? The x's or the y's? X's, you're supposed to go first. Negative 1x plus 2y. I cannot combine x's with y's. They'll stay separate. That is standard form. And standard form is really good for intercepts. Okay, number 5. All right, the first thing I want you to do when you look at a problem is ask yourself, are there any fractions? Because if there are, we want to wipe them out. The fraction here says 2/3. So look at the bottom part. If he was just a 2, he wouldn't be a fraction. But he's got divide by 3. So put some big brackets. If you have a divide by 3 kind of fraction, then you need to multiply by 3. Do you just take the number that you see in the bottom and multiply everybody by it? Yes, that's what you do. So the first thing here, if I do 3 divided by 3, it cancels it out. And all we have left is the 2 and the x. It's going to totally cancel out with the fraction. Now what happens when I do 3 times 4? That doesn't cancel out. 3 times 4 makes 12y. Okay, now don't forget way over here. Some people forget about this guy because he's way on the right. He also needs to get multiplied by 3. 3 times 8 is 24. Right here, that's the one most people forget. Okay, so try not to leave him out. Okay, let's see. I've got the x's on the left, and then plus the y term, then the equal sign, and then the number. Oh, I think we're done. I think we've rearranged this into standard form. Perfect. Standard form. Standard form is awesome for intercepts. Remember how you find an x-intercept? To find the x number, okay, you let the y number be 0. Zero out the y number. I'm going to use the cover-up technique. Cover up the y's, and the x number would be 12. 2 times 12 makes 24. And let's just practice doing the y-intercept. To do a y-intercept, I want to get the y number. So what should I make the x number be? Nothing. Make him be 0. Cover up x. And how do you find the y number? Divide by 12, and that makes 2. Very nice. Standard form is really great for intercepts. Okay, last one. I see parentheses with a -2, so it seems like the first thing we need to do is distribute. Or another idea, should I divide everything by 2? Divide him by 2, no, we don't want fractions. Let's not make 5 divided by 2. Don't make fractions. Let's distribute 2 in. In fact, when we're distributing, we got to make sure we distribute a -2. Because you look in front. -2 times x, -2x. What's -2 times 1? -2, and then -5. Okay, so I did the distributing. I don't think it's in standard form, but at least there's no fractions. Let's go ahead and put these numbers together. Okay, standard form isn't supposed to have 2 numbers, 2 constants. -2x, a -2 minus 5 is -7. Okay, are we done? Well, no, because the direction said standard form. This is not standard form. Okay, in fact, this one is called slope-intercept. If they wanted me to be in slope-intercept form, I would be done. But I'm supposed to have the x's on the left. So x's, you got to get over there. So if I have a -2x, I'm going to add 2x to the right and add 2x to the left. So that's going to cancel them out. And then we have 2x plus y. Y's are positive. How did I know to put the x's first? Well, standard form wants x's first, and then the y's. And the b number would be 1. There's 1 y. You could write it, or you don't have to. After the equal sign, the only thing left is -7. Standard form. Okay, down here we have a couple of forms. We have to make sure that we read the directions carefully. So what I'm going to do after I read the directions is write the formula underneath it. When it says slope-intercept form, that's y equals mx plus b. That's y's alone. Okay, all right, get the y alone. You got it. The first thing I'm going to do is subtract x to both sides. Negative 4y. And then over here we have, do you want to put 28 first? 28 minus x? Or you could rearrange it if you want. So the y's are alone, but it was supposed to just be a y, not a negative 4. So the last step would be to divide by negative 4, divide by negative 4, and negative 4. Everybody gets divided by negative 4. So then we have y equals negative 7. A negative divided by a negative makes positive 1/4 x. There's an invisible 1 in front of x. 1 over 4 is 1/4. Slope-intercept form. Okay. Well, wait, I thought fractions weren't allowed. No, fractions are allowed in slope-intercept form. Okay. In fact, the slope is the fraction rise over run 1/4. And then the starting point would be 0, negative 7. So yes, fractions are okay in slope-intercept. Fractions are not okay in standard form. Standard form is what again? AX. The x's go first, and then the y's, and then see, their standard form. So after you read the directions, put your equation down. Okay. And remember, he's the one that has no fractions. So the first thing we're going to do is get rid of the fractions. I see divide by 5. So the entire equation is going to get multiplied by 5. Who gets multiplied? They all get multiplied. 5 times y equals, right here, the 5's cancel, and you only have 1x. Don't forget this last guy. 5 times negative 8 is minus 40. Okay, are we done? Oh, wait a minute. No, we're not done. The x's need to go on the left. Okay, so I need to subtract 1x, subtract 1x. Okay, so on the right side, all you have is your number. And on the left side, x's go first and 5y's go second. Okay, standard form. All right, the last one says standard form, and that's ax plus by equals c. Can you please give this one a try? I'm really curious to see who can distribute and then rearrange correctly. Good luck, students.